And we're live. Hi, I'm Bill DeYoung. This is the Catalyst Sessions with St. Pete Catalyst. You're looking at Helen Hansen French right there, the lovely and talented. And we're so happy to have you with us here tonight. That was my whole intro. How are you, Helen?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Looks so good. Life in isolation is treating you okay?
It is, I think having two boys at home, and I have two young, rambunctious boys, and thank goodness for our backyard because I think that's the only way we're surviving.
Young and rambunctious. I vaguely remember that. You're a St. Pete native, is that right? Did you start dancing when you were here, or did you go off and see the world and then I want to be a dancer?
I started dancing here. I actually there's a very sweet story to how I started dancing. The studio I started at was called Judith Lee Johnson's Studio of Dance, and my aunt Helen studied with Judy when she was younger. And when I asked for lessons, my mom said, the only place I know is Judy Johnson, and she took me there. And I was 5. My mom said I begged and begged from kindergarten onward. And she finally relented the summer after kindergarten and said, you can take lessons. And she took me to Judy's. And that first recital, the story goes, Judy was looking out in the wings and she's like, why do I know that little girl? Like, I didn't have her as a teacher. And I just look a lot like my aunt. My mom and my aunts and I all look very similar. And they said, oh, that's little Sally, Helen Pfeiffer's niece. And so it was very sweet. So I started studying with Judy, went to Gibbs, went on to Herod, then went to Juilliard.
You were at the Performing Arts Center at Gibbs. They have a good dance program there, I think, right? I think I've read about it. Yeah.
They do. We've had, gosh, I don't remember the first year. I want to say 92 might have been the first class of graduating dancers. But when I was there, everyone in my level went on to college or into a company. In fact, it's amazing how many from this area went on to Juilliard, went on to study in New York City and to live in New York City, all because of the training that we had at PCC.
What makes somebody a dancer? I don't mean to sound like so woo woo, but it seems to me that you either are or you aren't, and you're probably born with it and know it pretty early. This is how I'm going to communicate with people. How does that happen?
I'll speak from my experience, and I think it's very similar to other dancers that I've talked to, but dance and movement is my first language, and it's where I feel most at home in myself and in my skin and in my soul. And while I can speak well, and my mom made me take public speaking lessons, and I'm rather eloquent when needed, I'm most comfortable inside of movement. And the further I get extracted from the ability to move or suppress that inside of me, the further I get from understanding myself. And so I think movement, and for people who dance or are called to it, I don't really think you have a choice. I think to deny
Yeah.
or to deny yourself that access or outlet, you feel like you're living kind of a part life or like half of what you could do.
Is there a sense of I am I don't know I am at my best when I'm moving. I realize that it's a form of expression, but this is what I do best, and I feel like I'm really giving here when I'm doing this.
It is. It's also, it's not just my best, it's my completedness. Like
Hmm.
I have had teachers and choreographers I've worked with kind of just talk about that as like you're a divine normal, like you are elevated in some way because of this ability to move, right? It elevates you. And I do think I'm at my best and I'm fully completed when I'm dancing or moving and engaged in that type of creative process.
Was there a moment? Yeah, I, I wonder this a lot about musicians and people in theater and any kind of artist really. Was there a moment where there was our point of no return for you? You know, I'm never going to nursing school, mom. Or I'm never going to run a business. This is all I ever want to do with my life.
Yeah, there was. I think there were many of them. There's kind of the original one, and then all through my career, it just I reestablished that belief or that reconnection. And the first one that was like so clear to me happened at PCCA, and I was in a rehearsal, and I was Clara and the Nutcracker, and I was fighting over the Nutcracker with Fritz, and the head is supposed to pop off, but it's supposed to do that, but I wasn't clear what was happening, and then the head popped off, but at the wrong place, and it like really broke, and I
Wow.
burst into tears, like just out of shame for breaking this doll, for making a mistake, and I was a freshman in high school, so like that all everything else that goes along with being a
Oh,
freshman.
yeah, yeah. It was intense. Right, right.
And I burst into tears in the middle of rehearsal, and Suzanne Pomerantsev, Miss P, thought I was like in character, and she came over and she was like, "That was fine, that was great," and it was that click moment of I had a real emotion, like a real, I didn't have to pretend, it was a real emotion, and it made sense for the moment, and something in that just clicked, and it freed me
Yeah.
to make mistakes in the studio. Like it freed me in a way that I hadn't experienced until then. That was the first big one that was like, oh, I got to do this forever now.
You went to Juilliard. Where were you before you went up to Juilliard? Where was your early years?
So before I went to Juilliard, I was at PCCA for my freshman and sophomore year of.
Yeah,
Then I went to the Herod Conservatory, which is
that's right.
and I
Okay.
spent a year there. I spent my junior year there, and then I was sort of done with. I was done with high school credit wise, and I just decided to be done with high school and go straight to college and kind of skip my senior year and wrap it into my freshman year. So I did all of that.
What was Juilliard like? I know Juilliard is a music school, so educate me here.
So Juilliard's dance program is rather robust and full of dance icons, and I think the history of what was experienced there and what was created with Juilliard is pretty amazing.
Hmm.
While I was there, sorry, there goes my son. While I was there,
That's
uh,
fine.
there's about 20 to 30 dance majors, so it's a pretty small department. And I don't know her. Sorry. There's about 20 to 30 dance students in the dance department, about 10 to 12 in each year, so between freshman and senior. And I think one of the biggest things about Juilliard is it's not cutthroat the way you might think it is. It's
Yeah.
not, it was for me one of the best environments ever to learn in and to get nurtured in. And it is very hard. They want you to question everything you've ever been told and then like rebuild yourself.
Hmm.
So it's hard that way, but it was amazing at the same time and
What
super.
was the name of the company you went? Was it Bellisi?
Puglisi Dance Theater.
Buglisi. Okay, tell us about that. That was after Juilliard, yeah?
So Puglisi Dance Theater was created and founded by Therese Caposili, Christine Dakin, Jacqueline Puglisi, and her then husband Donlin Foreman, and they were
Hmm.
all core dancers with Martha Graham and principal dancers with her company. And
Hmm.
they founded this Puglisi Dance Theater, and it was, I would say there are 12 of us at a time. And I joined because the work, Graham work, and the work that they were creating told a story and had this depth of visceral movement that just, I think you only find inside of Martha Graham technique. There's just this, it spoke to me very personally, this depth of moving and storytelling. And the women in the company were like amazing role models. They just phenomenal women who worked so hard. I feel very fortunate that I was able to train under them and to be mentored by them at the same time.
How long were you there
Um,
with
I joined,
Buglisi?
I joined Puglisi 2001, so I
Uh-huh.
graduated in May. I joined that August, and I left New York in '09.
Hmm.
But I stayed with Puglisi off and on really consistently until 2012 when my son was born, my first son. And
Hmm.
then from 2012 to about 2016, I went back and forth, and I'm still considered a part of the company. Jackie and I actually are, I'm part of a project that's happening right now every Sunday. So um, the project is interesting. It happens every Sunday. It's called the Table of Silence Meditation Variations,
Hmm.
and it's Puglisi Dance Theater's kind of call to action, if you will. Once a week, dancers get together and can participate in this meditation, movement meditation, as a way to offer healing and prayer and meditative community spirit while we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Is that a public thing, or that's?
It is a public.
Where does one find that?
So Buglisi Dance Theater has a YouTube page, and it goes live every Sunday. And then if you follow me on Instagram, I do it live via Instagram on Sundays, and you can see me and the company. And sometimes there's a chat. But Buglisi Dance Theater's YouTube channel is where you'll find the live versions of it when it happens.
Let's spell that for everybody. It's Buglisi.
Buglisi, and then Dance Theater, and it's THEATRE.
Oh yeah, the European way, as they say. Right. Hey, was it 2013, Helen, that you kind of floated your way back to St. Petersburg, somewhere in, I mean, full time?
2014. Yeah, 2014.
Okay. Let's talk about dance in St. Petersburg, because I was born here as well, but I lived away for a long time too. But it seemed to me, when I came back, right, it was 2014. I mean, there still isn't really, there's not a full-time dance company here. It almost seems like, what was it like when you came back? Were you like, there should be so much going on here with this whole cultural blooming that we've got going on? Why is there essentially no dance here?
So, there's a little person back there.
Yeah.
When I came back, what I noticed was there was a lot of other type of arts, visual mostly, and some performing arts. You know, we had our heavy hitters, American Stage, Free Fall, but there wasn't. You're right. There was not a organized, robust.
You can bring him on camera. Let's say hello to him. Hi. Hey, man.
You may have the last marshmallow.
Ooh, marshmallows. I want one. Yeah, so what dance really wasn't represented here.
It wasn't as recognized or as robust. It wasn't in the public eye as much. But
yeah,
funny about is that there were actually a lot of dancers here. A lot of professionals teaching at USF, a lot of performers doing solo work, people trying to get together. And I think what we needed at that time was kind of a reason to come together, if you will, or a performance goal, so to speak. And I started to just reach out to people and say, hey, do you want to make work? Or what are you interested in doing? Do you want to show your work? How could we get together? What could we do?
So in other words, the talent is here. The dancers are here, but it's just kind of, it was disorganized is what you're saying. Is that right? Or it wasn't organized at all?
I think what happens is because there wasn't a saturation of, say, 300 dancers, students trying to make ends meet, teach at a studio, go here and there. And so they're organizing together as a group. You're right. And so it became hard to get together and even rehearse. And space is an issue here. Rehearsal space is hard to find. Appropriate dance floor space is hard to find.
Oh, sure.
And it can be expensive depending on, who you're going to or what, where you're renting from.
Well, this was the birth, I guess, of the Dance Alliance, is what we're talking about. It was the organization that you co-founded. It still exists, and how many members are there? How involved is it, I guess, is the question. For somebody who's interested in dance in this city, this is who you want to talk to and tell us about it.
So the Dance Alliance is just a gathering of pretty much whoever wants to be part of it. And we support each other. So if you have a show or a project, our website will help promote it for you, or maybe advice on something. And I sort of can personally act as a catalyst to help connect people with space or get us organized as a group so that we're not.
Catalyst, did you catch that word, folks? Sorry. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, so it is, I don't know if there's, how many there are of us now. I would say a good dozen. Our website doesn't list every single person involved, but what I have seen come out of it is really interesting collaborations, people connect.
Yeah.
There are companies here in St. Pete. Project Alchemy is run by Alex Jones.
Oh, I know. Yeah, Alex is great. Sure.
I love Alex. He and I enjoy working with him. We were in the same program together.
I've seen you dance together. And Rogue Dance, which is Kelly Harmon's thing.
Yes. And I
It's
love
great stuff.
those are two young choreographers, young dancers who are a handful of years younger than myself, and
Mm.
I so enjoy working with them, and they being around them pushes me to continue to keep my skills crafted and honed. So it's nice to have that as well.
Well, tell us about Beacon. I know I guess we lost Beacon for this season, but how long have you been? Tell us first of all. Tell us exactly what it is, even though I know. Tell everybody who's watching, and you know what it consists of and how it changes every year. I think that's the fascinating part. That it's like a living, breathing thing.
Yeah, it's a Beacon is think of it as a platform. Think of Beacon as a way for artists to show, share, and create their work. And it was founded by Lauren Sloan and myself. And the Palladium Theater is our presenting partner, and
Mm-hmm.
they were considered one of their resident artists. And that's just like a dream for dancers to have a theater that's behind you. And
Oh yeah,
I gotta give a shout out to Paul because he just goes, "You can do whatever you want." He's
yeah,
great about it. He's like,
yeah.
he trusts us to bring the best possible show that we can bring each year.
Oh yeah. He talks it up all the time. Beacon's one of his really proud, proud points. He
He's
does.
super supportive. I mean, when Lauren and I walked in, we said we need to have a dance series, and he was like, "Dance doesn't make money," and we're like, "But we'll prove you wrong." So, and he trusted us to do that. And I
Yeah.
don't mean to suggest that like we are not St. Pete Opera, which is, like sells out all the time. We do really well for dance, but it's educating an audience, and that's one of Beacon's goals is to educate our community and our audience about the breadth and scope of dance.
I liked also the smaller scale shows down at the Studio 620, but I have to say, I mean Beacon only happens once a year. Well, why don't you do four a year? I mean, there is so much.
Are you listening,
Uh,
Paul?
yeah, yeah. Well, let's all get on the phone to Paul Wilbur, and I'll share his number here at the end. And I've wondered that it's once a year, and that's great. But it's like, oh, we'll see you in 12 months. Don't you wish you could do more of it?
I think we do wish we could do more. And Lauren and I strategically wanted to start out in a way that felt manageable and that could grow, and that we financially were being responsible. We have standards with which we would like to pay our artists, and we didn't ever want to have to not to lower our bar of pay. That was something that was
Mm-hmm.
important to us. We also wanted to basically take up or provide the ability for people to create and take some of the financial burden away completely. So we spend a lot of time trying to raise the money that will get them into
Yeah.
spaces and stuff like that. So part of the reason we don't do it more than once a year is finances. The other part is it takes a long time or can to make dance. And dancers, I love to sit and have a piece like marinate and mature. And so sometimes we might be working 6 months before you see the final show.
Yeah.
And so until you build a repertoire big enough to have, 4 shows a year, I think some of it is just also like the creative juices and giving everything space to breathe.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. But I wondered if perfect world scenario, Helen, would you like to have a professional, like a repertory company here? Would that be a dream of yours? Like, wow. I mean, we're talking money, obviously.
Right.
Whoever's listening and can, fund this thing. Would that be something cool for you? Would you like that?
I think it would be phenomenal to have a type of repertoire company here. I see many different ways that it could happen. I think that we have a lot of choreographic voices that need to be heard in this area. So
Mm-hmm.
getting dancers together and having steady work and rehearsal time, there's magic that happens when you're in the studio with the same 10, 12 people on a daily basis.
Oh yeah. But
It
that takes time, I mean, and as you say, that everybody's scattered and the funds are here, there, and non-existent. And we don't even talk about COVID-19 or any of that now. I mean, which brings me to my next question, which is, you're still teaching. I mean, uh, everything's virtual now.
Mhm.
Everything's virtual now. How
Yeah.
do you teach dance online, Helen? That's my question. What do
Um,
you do?
I
Watch my feet, you know?
sometimes watch my feet. Sometimes I put the camera really far away. Uh,
Yeah.
I have a little setup on my front porch for now because it's not that
Yeah.
hot. And I'm in a shaded area and I can get the camera far enough away and I have this little square of foam mat that I took from my kids' playroom and it's
Mm.
about 4 feet by 5 feet and and I dance on that. I think there are things you can do and I think there are
Yeah.
definitely things you should not be doing when you're dancing at home on unsafe surfaces like jumping. Like I
Mm.
think that's wise. I don't, as a teacher, advocate that. There are many things you can do to maintain your jump ability, but actually jumping isn't a good thing. But teaching dance, I think what I miss, and what is the hardest is the actual engagement with my students, where I can get.
Yes, I would imagine.
And even when I'm in Zoom, like, what are you doing over there? Like, I can't move to see them. I'm stuck with what they put in front of
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. It's like, stop what you're doing, move the camera, and then do it again.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so listen, that the whole virtual talk leads me to want to ask you about Sunday's event. And we were fortunate to have the guys from La Lucha on here last night who said, what were they saying? We're going to be in a backyard 6 feet apart or something. This is for We Are Family, which I guess created Pinellas and Cindy Stovall and a whole bunch of people, organizations I don't even know. Alex Harris is involved, and a whole bunch of performers are going to be there, including Helen Hansen French, who's going to be. I'm talking to the camera now, in case you don't know. I should switch this so they can see me. In case you don't know about this, this is this Sunday, May the 10th at 4 o'clock. And there's a special Facebook page for that. And tickets are available, but there's going to be lots and lots of people doing wonderful things. And all the proceeds go to the Pinellas Arts Relief Fund, which is the most worthy of worthwhile causes. What are you going to be doing?
So,
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
yeah, well, for full disclosure, some of this is pre-filmed, but will be live. And so
Mm-hmm.
La Lucha came to my backyard. Those guys are amazing, and we had to plan to do everything safe and stay 6 feet apart. And we were like, "Can we do that?" And I was like, "But my yard is huge. We can go in my backyard." They said, "All right, we'll do it." And they came over and they loaded up their stuff. It was amazing. Like, and then they played and I improvised. We all improvised, is what we did.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly what they do. I mean, that's another thing I have to say about dance. I mean, being a non-dancer, I mean, I can barely walk in a straight line, but I admire it so much because it seems so, all kinds of modern dance, everything just seems so perfect to me. And the fact that you do improvise, that means that it's coming from inside of you, that it's not written out like musical notes, like charts. And that, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I mean, that just feels very personal, like a personal form of expression,
It
you know?
is. And the guys and I were talking about this, Lucha. We were saying how improvisation is sort of it's this crazy free way of expressing yourself, but it's so grounded in your technique. Like I couldn't improvise if I didn't have this rich vocabulary and this history of training. But
Mhm.
there's something about it that is very freeing, and it's also very vulnerable. And I will say, improvising with those guys was so fun. Like there was just a point when we were like, oh, it's over. Like the timer started to dwindle down, and we knew we should stop now, and it was great.
So
And
you
it,
didn't just keep going all afternoon. Boy, this is fun.
we could. I mean, essentially, we could. I'm not sure at what point it becomes more interesting for the doer and not as interesting for the viewer.
Yeah. Wow. So that is Sunday at 4 o'clock, and the tickets are, I think they're $12.50. There's an Eventbrite page, but if you go online and type in "We Are Family Pinellas Arts Relief," you'll find it. And Paul Wilburn, who we were just talking about, and Eugene and his lovely wife are going to be performing, and a whole bunch of other people, none of whom I can remember right now, but there's a ton of them. They didn't ask me, which means it's going to be good. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you'd like to say? What's next for you? I mean, in as much as there is, an immediate next, what can we talk about?
I actually was really reluctant during this time to like make something new. Like I felt very angry about having to be at home and what was happening in the world. And as
Yeah.
time goes on, I think I'm settling more, and I feel the seeds of having something to say about what's going on come up. So I'm going to just gently kind of massage that and flower that soil and see what might come up and work on maybe a new solo or a new piece that I feel it coming. I can't say what it would be, but there's something brewing creatively.
Well, that's good. You know, out of even the worst circumstances, sometimes great art comes. Will Beacon be maybe rescheduled in the fall? Or are you just going to go till next year?
Right now the talk is about the fall, but Lauren and I have talked to Paul, and a lot of it is going to be dependent on what is safe for our community, what's safe for our dancers.
Hmm.
Besides just the show, all the time it takes to create something and put it together. So I think to say the fall is really optimistic. To say the spring seems a little more realistic, but
Hmm.
we don't know. We know so little about COVID-19 anyway. It's hard to
Yeah.
make things certain. So, but the hope is there. I mean, the intention and the hope is that we will be back next year for
I
sure.
feel like, you know, that's half the battle, as they say. Is, you know, we want it, we're dedicated, and we are going to make it happen. I think if I check my clock, we are actually just about out of time.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
again, if if you didn't hear us say it before, it's Sunday at 4 o'clock. It's called We Are Family. And Sister Sledge won't be there, but Helen Hansen French will be with La Lucha. And yeah, fabulous talking to you.
Thank you.
And just so nice. And this is really what we wanted to do with the Catalyst sections, is remind everybody that some of their favorite people from the arts community are sitting right there in their house, just like they are, just like I am. You see my kitchen back here, and I thank you so much. And I wanted to tell everybody that Cindy Stovall, our good friend, will be our guest tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to chatting with her. Beauty in the bag, as it were. And Helen, thanks again.
Thank you. It was a
We
pleasure.
will see. We'll see you soon, if not sooner.
Hopefully sooner.
Hopefully sooner. Have a good evening.
Okay.
Bye.